Good evening, welcome to QUT Web News.
Good evening.
Today marks the 18th month anniversary, or halfway point, of the Newman government's first term. But it's not all celebrations. Together Union criticised the government's cut to health, wanting a stronger focus on people first.
The Together Union says Queensland's health system has never been in more crisis. It wants the government to take a message from the Queensland community and put patients ahead of profits.
And anybody who goes to hospitals knows what's happening in terms of the fact that we are now providing a lot lower quality service than we were over a year and a half ago.
Mr Scott wants the government to go back to basics to ensure every Queenslander has the best healthcare possible. He says the government needs to have a real debate with health professionals and the community. The Together Union says that in the past 18 months, the Queensland health system has been under pressure because of massive cuts in jobs and funding. The Newman government rejects his claims. It says that health funding has actually increased over the same period. In the coming months, Together intends to work on a report card to Queenslanders about what's going on in hospitals. The union isn't the only one to criticise the government's record. Opposition leader Annastacia Palaszczuk today released an A to Z of the LNP's backflips, bungles and broken promises. She says Queenslanders are hurting and the Newman government isn't doing much about it.
Is this as good as it gets? All we see here that the Newman government is delivering is a brand new executive building.
The Premier says there's no measures on which the government hasn't improved. Francesca Gruber-Hallam, QUT News.
Today we had a taste of the hot weather to come around the southeast over the next few days. On Thursday, temperatures could reach 38 degrees.
Those out early this morning were treated to a thick London-like fog that covered the city. When it eased, Brisbane was greeted with an unseasonably hot spring day. Anywhere with water was full of people finding relief from the 32-degree heat.
We do sometimes get these weather patterns during this time of the year where we get the hot northwesterly winds drawn down over our part of the world.
The Rural Fire Service urged people to prepare a bushfire survival kit and plan to protect themselves and their property.
What they need to do is get onto the Rural Fire Service website at ruralfire.qld.gov.au and download the survival plan.
While the high temperatures are expected to decrease by Monday, the Weather Bureau and fire services are urging people to prepare for the hot weather and a potentially bad fire season. Queensland has a high fire danger for the next few days due to an increase in temperature, the drop in relative humidity and an increase in wind speed. However, southeast Queensland isn't in danger if people are responsible.
At this stage, there's no significant fire activity around, so without ignition, there will be no fires. So we're certainly ready for any circumstances that do arise, but yeah, hopeful that we won't be.
Southeast Queensland is in a neutral weather phase, but the Bureau says residents need to prepare for the possibility of floods and severe thunderstorms during summer. Harriet Harvey, QUT News.
The trial of Jayant Patel was delayed again today after a media report referencing the former surgeon was brought to the court's attention. Yesterday's jury selection was prolonged after 11 jurors were found unsuitable.
Jayant Patel arrived at court this morning, but it was a media report on negligent medicine aired last night, which again delayed his trial. The story included a reference to Mr Patel. Judge Terence Martin labelled it reckless journalism. Its content, in my view, was totally irresponsible in view of the fact this trial was getting underway today. Jurors were reminded to ignore media reports on the case and base their verdict purely on the evidence before the court. Once the hearing was underway, the Crown made its opening. The prosecution argued Mr Patel caused grievous bodily harm to his patient Ian Rodney Vowles. The former surgeon removed Mr Vowles' cancer-free rectum and large bowel in 2004. Prosecutor Peter Davies says Mr Patel's actions were criminally negligent and the procedure should never have happened. Mr Patel is pleading not guilty. Over the next few days, the defence's evidence will be heard and more witnesses will be called upon. The trial could last up to 3 weeks. Sarah Orr, QUT News.
Queensland racing authorities have started a wide-ranging scheme to crack down on illegal practices in a bid to restore integrity to the industry. The new system will allow random spot checks on horses before races and to monitor practices in racing stables.
The planned crackdown is a result of the state government pressuring the industry to clean up its act.
It's a new initiative of Racing Queensland. It's part of the mandate of the new government that our integrity unit of the business would grow and be more focused on eliminating unfair practices and illegal practices in racing.
Queensland racing authorities say they will carry out spot checks on horses, stables and trainers in an effort to reduce illegal activities on race day.
We've now got to work towards eliminating any other opportunities there are for participants to gain an unfair advantage over their fellow participants.
One of the biggest issues is the practice of drenching. Drenching is when a horse's blood oxygen levels are artificially increased by using bicarbonate. This makes a horse run faster for longer. Authorities plan to monitor illegal drenching using their new iStat machine. The machine tests a horse's blood and can tell if a bicarbonate level is above the legal limit.
30 millimoles per litre.
The inspectors will also monitor medical records and other suspect practices in racing stables. The racing industry is one of Queensland's largest, and concerned members have welcomed the crackdown.
It's the third biggest employer of people right across the board, so it has its place. So people that are cheating or whatever you want, I just think I've got no time for them.
2 serious suspensions and at least 20 minor breaches have been dealt with by Racing Queensland since the scheme began last month. This crackdown by Racing Queensland aims to tighten its grip on doping by carrying out random inspections to keep its trainers in check. Jim Malo, QT News.
29 ordinary Queenslanders have been recognised for their heroic actions. The Governor today presented them with Australian Honours and Awards for bravery.
Most of today's awards at Government House were for efforts made during the 2011 Queensland floods. Among the recipients, Police Constable Peter Lambert and Senior Constable Stephen Williamson. They rescued a woman from Bremer River floodwaters at Basin Pocket.
You don't often get recognised for some of the work you do, but it is good to get recognised, along with everyone else here today. Like, some of the stories are quite extraordinary.
Sarah Norman received the award on behalf of her late brother, Samuel Matthews. Samuel kept his younger sister safe from floodwaters on their property near Toowoomba. Sarah says her family are extremely proud.
He was the sort of boy who just looked after everyone else first, and so it's just very special for us for him to get that recognition.
John and Simon McDermott were part of the helicopter rescue crew operating in the Lockyer Valley.
It was the most sort of outrageous experience I'd ever had as far as natural disasters goes. It was just surreal.
While these recipients have today received their own acknowledgement of bravery, there are at least another 24 Queenslanders who will also be recognised tomorrow for courageously placing the lives of others before their own. Reetu, Gosal, QUT News.
Heading sports news, triple Brisbane Premiership defender Justin Leppich will be the Brisbane Lions' new coach. Leppich was a celebrated player with 228 games and an All-Australian title to his name. After his retirement in 2006, he was assistant coach under Lee Matthews and briefly sacked coach Michael Voss. Since 2009, he's been defensive coach at the Richmond Tigers. Leppich was with the Lions in the team's glory days when the club won 3 premierships.
Gary Ablett has capped off his best individual season by taking home his second Brownlow medal. The Gold Coast-based AFL star scored 28 votes to clinch the award last night.
Gary Ablett's second Brownlow victory had just 1 vote in it over former Geelong teammate Joel Selwood and Collingwood's Dane Swan. Swan, who won the medal in 2011, was sitting ahead of Ablett on 26 points after the 22nd round. But neither Swan nor Selwood polled in the second round, revealing Ablett as the winner of 3 votes. Ablett is only the 5th player to win Brownlow medals at different clubs. Despite the challenges, he's thrilled to win as a Gold Coast player.
No doubt it's an honour, and I've said it before, but it has been a really challenging 3 years up there. I knew when I made the decision to move to the Gold Coast it was going to take time.
Ablett joined Gold Coast in late 2010 after playing in 2 premiership sides at Geelong. Gold Coast made a notable improvement this season, winning 8 games. The team hopes to make next year's grand finals, and Ablett says he plans to be playing when they get their first flag.
I love all my teammates. I couldn't be up here without you guys. I'm really hoping that we can win a premiership before my time's up. I just love it up there.
Only 4 players have won the Brownlow 3 times. Hannah Chapman, QUT News.
Time now for a look at the weather. It was a foggy morning in Brisbane, but the cloud did lift. to reveal a fine and sunny day, 15 to 32 degrees, and more heat is on the way. Elsewhere in the southwest, the Sunshine Coast reached a high of 29 degrees. It was 16 to 28 on the Gold Coast, and Ipswich dropped to 9 overnight. Around the nation's capitals tomorrow, Sydney will be sunny, Melbourne will be partly cloudy with a high of 23. There will be some early morning showers in Hobart and Perth, while Darwin is expecting a top of 34 degrees. Around Queensland, temperatures are rising. A scorcher in Mount Isa and Longreach, 40 degrees the top. Cairns, Townsville and Mackay will all be fine and sunny, and 17 to 35 degrees expected in Rocky. Finally, the 3-day outlook for Brisbane. Fine and 32 degrees tomorrow. Find the shade on Thursday. The mercury will reach 35, but it should cool off on Friday, 19 to 28 degrees. And that brings you up to date with the weather. Goodbye.
And that's all the news we have for now.
We'll be back tomorrow with more QUT news. Goodbye.
Goodbye.